Hey everybody, Lauren Doyle here, your favorite intuition teacher and coach. And today I'll get to answer a question from Desi. Hey Desi! And she asked about self-fulfilling prophecies, so how do they work? And then also, how long does it take for me to see patterns in others? And is it based on their actions, or is it based on good and bad vibes? Like, how does that work? So to answer the first question about self-fulfilling prophecies, that's actually a really, really interesting one. Because self-fulfilling prophecies have really two sides to them. So the one is, it's basically your behavior will confirm what your expectations are. So your expectations of a situation, your behavior will support that, so that it basically comes true. So it's not real, it's not true what your expectations are, or what you believe aren't true, but your behavior will be altered, and sometimes even purposefully, to make sure that that prophecy is true. And then you can, look back on those things and say, see, this happened like this, and this happened like that, and that happened to me, and you don't take any responsibility in that. And so then you say, oh, okay, well that's true. So the thing about self-fulfilling prophecies is that there's, again, two sides to that. One is, if you are in a self-fulfilling prophecy, then you are already working against yourself, because you have an expectation that things are going to go a certain way, and will not even entertain the idea that things can be different or change. The other piece of that is that you will self-sabotage in order to make sure that that comes true. And so even if you're offered opportunities for there to be a different outcome, you will purposefully not choose them because of your belief that it isn't possible for the outcome to be different. And so much so that you will push into what you know is a patterned system, essentially, for your self-fulfilling prophecy, to make sure that that comes true. And if there's any uncertainty and another opportunity, right, it opens up, you will purposefully sabotage that, so that your false belief, will come true. So one thing is that you can influence your future. And you do that by basically doing visualizations every day as if you are in present time. So you do them as if the future is in present time, but you must do the visualization so that you feel that feeling in your body. How would your body feel? Is it lighter? Is it excitement? The emotion connected to it as that outcome that you want is experienced. So you experience it as if it's happening now. It's because you have to go through time, and time is only forward moving. So you must experience something in present time and experience it as if it's present time in order for the future outcome. But the key to that is to make the things small and believable. If you try to do those visualizations on something that you don't believe is possible, then you're putting that into the visualizations. You're putting that into the future that you already don't believe that's possible. So you want this thing, but it's not possible. So when you're in the future, you still want this thing and it's not possible. So you have to be sure that it's believable enough for you to have that feeling that you can experience it as if it's happened and put it into the future. as you get more practiced in that, you will be able to go for or visualize for bigger and bigger things. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is that you must be willing to override your behavioral patterns to make new choices. So when you're presented with those opportunities, first of all, if you do those visualizations, you're basically training your brain to subconsciously notice opportunities to move in that new direction. But you also then have to consciously choose in that present moment what you're going to do. And the first choice that you come upon is going to be the hardest one. It's going to be the one that you're going to have the hardest time not falling into your pattern behavior that fills that self-fulfilling prophecy, and actually moving in that other direction where it's really uncomfortable and it's going to feel scary and you're not going to be sure, and you might even feel, angry and anxiety about it or whatever. But that first time that you choose not that behavior that's going to fulfill the prophecy, but a new behavior and a new way of looking at it, and it usually has to do with optimism, a new level of optimism, because self-fulfilling prophecies are usually from negative self-talk. So there's a level of optimism that you have to lean into. Then you're opening up the door for those new things to open and expand for you. So that's how you kind of overcome that self-fulfilling prophecy cycle. And then as far as patterns, so then we get into patterns and others. And this really closely links to that, because especially if you're in a self-fulfilling prophecy mindset, it's a very negative mindset. And there's a lot of chatter going on in the mind for that to kind of be this rote thing that happens. So it's definitely a pattern, but it's a pattern on negative belief and negative self-talk. So in order to see patterns in others, sometimes, I can see it in 2 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's 2 months. It just depends on the overall theme pattern type of things. When someone's really stuck, those I can see really quickly. But ones that are under the surface, that are actually the things that are feeding some of those patterns, those take a little bit longer usually to fish out. And then a lot of times, I may have most of the pieces of a pattern, but there's some other thing that will emerge, as we're working more and more together, as I'm around you more. It just depends on the situation. And is it based on action or good or bad vibes? So it's a little bit of all of that, right? So I wouldn't say good or bad vibes is a part of it per se, but it's definitely, the energetic piece that sort of feeds that subconscious element of it, which then feeds that emotional element of it. So there's energetic triggers that lead to emotional triggers that then become sort of the physical manifestation of it. So your actions are most certainly a part of that. And I would say that's probably more of it, and the kind of the underlying feelings, emotional piece that are the triggers that can help me fish those out. And again, like I said yesterday and the day before, the intuitive piece is a huge part of it. So I can, in general, experience that as if I'm you, without knowing anything about you or anything about the situation at all, not in any possible way, and be able to recognize that. And what's also very interesting is I've worked with a lot of people now, and so a lot of the same patterns are the same. So I can recognize things really, really fast based on, how they respond energetically or emotionally based on certain techniques that I use or tools that I have available to me to help someone. So that speeds up the process quite a bit as well. So I hope that answers your question. And for sure, if anyone else has more questions, I love to answer questions. It makes doing these videos a little bit easier. But, make different choices. Like the things that you know is like your regular thing, choose it differently. Take an opportunity to look at those as opportunities to like do something differently. And you'll be surprised how things sort of like unfold and really rapidly. So when you follow those intuitive pieces, it's kind of like when you're, just like what they say, an object that's in motion stays in motion. But in order for things to go into motion, there needs to be some force behind it. So initially, it's going to take some force. It's going to take more, it's going to feel like more energy to get the ball rolling, right? But, as you get more practiced in that, then that momentum is already there. So it's a bit easier and faster. So the response, shall we say, from the universe, for lack of a better way of putting it, will be quicker, much quicker, the better you get at this. So with that, I will see you tomorrow. And if you haven't signed up for my YouTube channel, be sure to do that. And you can always schedule a time with me and we can work on your own personal stuff one-on-one. See you tomorrow.